New York AG Letitia James defies Trump's executive order, orders hospitals to comply with state laws allowing transgender procedures on children. Like, this is crazy. I don't understand why the left so bad want to mutilate children. Why is it so bad they want to chop off their tops and their bottoms? I don't understand it. I mean, kids can't consent to go on a field trip without their parents' signature, but it's okay to go in and mutilate these children and give them drugs that could prevent them from having their own children and again mutilating their body. This is what the left is fighting for. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. So we're gonna talk about it, but before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from American Greatness, and they report that in open defiance of President Trump's January 28th executive order to, quote, protect children from chemical and surgical mutilation, New York Attorney General Letitia James on Monday warned hospitals that pausing so-called gender-affirming care for gender-confused minors violates state law. Again, the so-called gender-affirming care research actually you can go and look at the research and it shows that this stuff does not help children. In fact, it actually hurts children because these irreversible things that you do to these kids, it's going to affect them later on down the road, especially if they want to detransition. They can't because they got their parts cut off. Like, and this is something they decided to do as children. Like, so when you were like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, you telling me you know what you want to do in the future? Like, you know, let kids be kids. They would not allow kids to be kids anymore. It's sad. It's sad. But Trump specified in his executive order that the term child or children referred to individuals under 19 years of age, and the phrase, quote, chemical and surgical mutilation meant, quote, the use of puberty blockers, including GnRH, agonists, and other interventions to delay the onset or progression of normally timed puberty in an individual who does not identify as his or her sex. The use of sex hormones such as androgen blockers, estrogen, progesterone, or testosterone to align an individual's physical appearance with an identity that differs from his or her sex, and surgical procedures that attempt to transform an individual's physical appearance to align with an identity that differs from his or her sex, or that attempt to alter or remove an individual's sexual organs to minimize or destroy their natural biological function. Now, this is for children. This is for kids. The EO notes that the above procedures are often referred to as gender-affirming care. It said, quote, countless children soon regret that they have been mutilated and begin to grasp the horrifying tragedy that they will never be able to conceive children of their own or nurture their children through breastfeeding, the EO states. And that's true. I see it in practice. People having regret for things that they did as children. And their parents should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this to happen as well. It goes on to say, quote, moreover, these vulnerable youths, medical bills may rise through their lifetimes, and they are often trapped with lifelong medical complications, a losing war with their own bodies, and tragically sterilization. I don't know why would anyone be for this. Now, I got nothing against adults, that are transitioning. If that's what you want to do, that's all on you. I'm clearly talking about children making this decision. But the EO continues, quote, accordingly, it is the policy of the United States that it will not fund, sponsor, promote, assist, or support the so-called transition of a child from one sex to another, and it will rigorously enforce all laws that prohibit or limit these destructive and life-altering procedures. Letitia James, you got the federal government coming for you now because you are outright defying these executive orders. But James stated in a letter to healthcare providers and organizations that receive federal funds that denying such care to children in New York violates state laws that protect against discrimination based on sex and gender identity. She said, quote, regardless of the availability of federal funding, we write to further remind you of your obligations to comply with New York state laws, the letter states. We got to get these leftists out of these states, man. It goes on to say, quote, electing to refuse services to a class of individuals based on their protected status, such as withholding the availability of service from transgender individuals based on their gender identity or their diagnosis of gender dysphoria, while offering such services to cisgender individuals, is discrimination under New York law. But the way so-called cisgender individuals use it, puberty blockers is to stop children that are getting going into puberty early. That's what they're for, not to stop them from not to stop an individual from having puberty altogether, which is what they're using these puberty blockers for. Like, this is crazy, and that's two totally separate things. But 4 hospitals in Virginia, Colorado, and Washington, D.C. have reportedly paused their gender-affirming care for minors while they evaluate Trump's order. Additionally, NYU Langone Health, a leading New York City hospital system, began canceling appointments for gender dysphoric children last week, according to the New York Times. The Trump White House put out a statement Monday morning celebrating these reports, saying the president's executive action is already delivering on his promise to protect American kids. It said, quote, it's already having an intended effect, preventing children from being maimed and sterilized by adults perpetrating a radical, false claim that they can somehow change a child's sex, the White House stated. Hospitals around the country are taking action to downsize or eliminate their so-called gender-affirming care. And I'm all for that. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.